Daniel.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So next up, we have Jenna Reps, who's going to give a talk from Johnson & Johnson, patient-level prediction, an end-to-end toolkit for developing diagnostic prognostic models using big observational healthcare data. Hi, Jenna. Thank you. Take it away.
Hey there. Actually, so I'm going to be talking about an R package we've been developing for about 7 years now. It uses the big observational healthcare data to make prediction models. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to predict technical issues today, so apologies for it's my fault that I'm running a bit later today. So our package, it uses big observational data, healthcare data, and what that is, it's data that's not primarily collected for research purposes. So examples are like your insurance claims data or your electronic healthcare records. The good thing with these data sets, they often contain thousands or even millions of patients of records. So they're very big data sets. And for each patient, you often have time-stamped medical records. So you actually will observe each patient for some period of time. Sometimes it can be weeks or months. It's pretty common now for it to be years. And those observations can be things like the conditions that patients have, the drugs that they're dispensed or prescribed, the procedures that they have, and the measurements that they get taken. So you have this information about all these patients and many of these patients. Now, the observational data sets, they come in many shapes and forms. Because we wanted an R package that goes end to end, that actually starts by just extracting data from your observational healthcare data set, we need some standardization. And the main standardization that the package requires is that the observational healthcare data you have is mapped to something called the OMOP Common Data Model. And effectively what the OMOP Common Data Model is, it's a structure, it's a set of tables that you see in this plot or this figure on the right, that any observational healthcare data set can be mapped to. So you can take different types of data that have different vocabularies and they have different tables, and you can map it into this standardized structure. And it's going to be this standardized structure that our package assumes you have your data in this form. Now, the OMOP CDM, just to give you a little bit of the background, it came from OHDSI. So OHDSI is this big research collaboration. It's lots of researchers and data holders that are working together to try and develop best practices for analyzing these big observational healthcare data sets. This map here with these blue dots, each blue dot corresponds to a collaborator. So you can see it's truly a worldwide collaboration. And actually, I'm sure there's many more blue dots. This doesn't get updated as often as new people join. If you're interested in hearing more about OHDSI, I recommend going to the OHDSI website, ohdsi.org, and you'll hear all the information about all the collaborators, what's going on, and how to actually get involved. The patient-level prediction package that I'm going to be talking about is a part of the OHDSI ecosystem. So we have a lot of our packages in OHDSI, and one of them is patient-level prediction. So I've told you about the data that you need for the package, but the big question is, what does this actually do? Why would you use this package? So prediction is generally answering the question, within some group of patients, your target population, can you predict some outcome in some time at risk, so period of time? There's different types of areas where you may want to do prediction. The most common you see is this disease onset and progression. So an example of this is among newly diagnosed AFib patients who are going to have ischemic stroke in the next 3 years. But there's also a lot of applications you can do for treatment. So you may be predicting treatment choice, and this is propensity scores. You may be predicting response, safety, or adherence to treatment. And the reason this is useful is if you can identify a high-risk population, then you may be able to do some intervention. So prediction is often used to identify a set of people that you may want to do some intervention for. So if you have these sort of research questions, then the PLP package is for you. So patient prediction, as I mentioned, so it's an R package for the big observational healthcare data to develop prediction models. It does require that you have the data mapped to the OMOP CDM. That's one of the main requirements. But once you've got that, then you can use this package to develop models very transparently. So if you develop a model and you share it with someone, the way that it's done, every design choice that you've made in developing the model is going to be contained in the model itself. So people can look and they can see exactly what you did, and they can assess whether they think it was good or bad, but it's transparent. It's open source, it's all on GitHub, and we always encourage people to add to it. So if you like to code and hack and do prediction, we'd love to hear from you. It's also customizable. So this is a big benefit, I think, to this package, is we have a library of methods inside the package, but you'll see in the next slide, you can pretty much write custom code for any part of the framework. And that means you don't have to wait for us to add it and actually release new things. You can add and hack whatever you want whenever you want. There's it's basically on GitHub. So if you follow that link, github.com/odyssey/patient-level-prediction, you actually can get to the GitHub and check out the code, and you can see that we do the unit tests and such. And if you want to install it and run it, you can go to remotes, use the remotes. Oh, I'm missing a semicolon. You can use the remotes install GitHub function to actually install the package. So the framework basically goes end to end. So you have your data maps in your CDM, and then the package will actually allow you to extract data from your observational healthcare data directly, and it will extract the features for the patients you want to do the prediction for. And that's why you need the standardized data structure, the OMOP CDM. The features, we have a library in the package that you can pick from, a very large library of features. But if you wanted to, you could customize and you could create your own code for creating whatever feature you wanted. So it's customizable on what features you extract. And then you've got the pre-processing and the supervised learning part. And again, we have a library of methods for the pre-processing and for the supervised learning. You have all the standard classifiers, and we have some survival models as well. But again, we've made it flexible that if you want to add something that's not in the package, you can easily plug in your own code and do whatever you want. So we've made it very, very customizable. We do recommend if you add in a new supervised learning model or you add in some pre-processing, please commit it to the GitHub so other people can use it as well. The only thing that we do not allow you to customize is the evaluation. So the metrics to actually see if a model is doing well are not customizable because we need that to be standard so that you can actually compare across models. If people report different metrics, how do you compare the models? So we actually do fix some standardized evaluations, and this is based on the literature. So we read the literature, we saw what was recommended as best practices of what metrics you should be reporting when you develop a model. And this will obviously be improved as new metrics get developed. We will add that in. We want it to be consistent for people. So it's an R conference, so I figured I'd add in some R code, just hopefully people enjoy looking at R code. This is actually an example of if you were to run the patient prediction package, if you had extracted the data, this is basically the code that will specify how you do the pre-processing and the model fitting. And if you run this, you would actually end up with a model and the internal performance estimate. So it's not too much code that's needed, and it actually works with very big data sets. So we've made it very streamlined and it works for big data. We have a demo in the package if you want to run it. And I'm happy to have a session to actually do a live demonstration, and actually you can install the package and start running it in that session if you're interested. So let me know if you're interested in a session. Once you've run the code, you actually get a model and you get the internal performance. So this is the performance on the data set you use to develop the model. When you save the model, it saves it as a JSON CSV files. This is for transparency. It's easier to share. People can see what they're loading when they load the model. And these JSON CSV files basically tell you any pre-processing that was done. It tells you the whole model design, so people can see, like I said, transparently what you did to design the model, and it has the model itself. So this contains everything you need to apply the model to new data. And the nice thing with our package is someone could then download this model that you've shared either on S3 or GitHub or even emailed to them. They can load it into R, and then they could apply that model to their own OMOP CDM. So they can do validation on their own data set of the model that you've developed. And the model contains all the information to know how the features are extracted from the OMOP CDM, how to pre-process the data from the model, and how to actually apply the model. So it's made external validation extremely easy and feasible. We also have a Shiny app. So there is a demo of it online. The server, unfortunately, isn't very good, so it can't handle too many people on it. So if you click on it right now, it may crash. But I will be doing a session where you can actually create the Shiny app yourself locally and run it. But the Shiny app effectively lets you explore many models. So if you've created hundreds of models, which is feasible with this package, you can explore each of those models. You can look at the standard plots that are recommended for prediction. You can look at the standard metrics that are generally recommended and see how well the model did. It will even generate a HTML report that tells you what your model design was and how the model did across one or more data sets. So this is just a nice way to actually just see whether the models did well or not. If you're interested in this package, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. We also have the GitHub, where if you want to contribute to the package, we recommend people go to the GitHub issues and you say what you want to add, or you start having a chat with people, and that's how we actually see where we should actually be developing for the package. I'm also happy to have a session where I can tell you or show you actually how to run the code, how to install things, and how to view the Shiny app. I only gave you a sample really of what we've been working on here, so there's a lot more to see. If you're interested in a session, just let me know. And thanks for your time.
Jenna, thank you so much.